It's Thursday, it's race day, but before we get to that, I want to show you something that I've done with my room. You know, I moved into this room a little while ago. I've never really been completely comfortable with the way I have it all laid out. Kind of only had one combination, but I was sat next to, this is the main window, working, which is where the desk used to be, and my hands were freezing. Now, we are turning the heating on, but I'm trying not to during the day, whilst we don't need it on and it's just me in the house working. So what I've done is I've actually made the decision to switch the bike and the desk over. So the desk, the bike now you're going to have to excuse the mess because I haven't tidied up. I've moved everything around. There's rubbish all over the floor and stuff that I haven't tidied up. But the bike now is up against the window with the fan down there. Aircon unit is just put away, which might come out in the summer. Not sure how that'll work. But with a TV on the wall this side, and then as I was moving my desk around, I kind of thought, I quite like it there. The plan was for it to go against the wall, but it actually now comes, again, excuse the mess, it comes out of the wall halfway. So the bike is kind of behind it into the window. It means that during the day, I can sort of see out and see some light and just get some lighting rather than staring at a wall. It also gives me a little bit of extra space down there for some storage that I can buy. Who knows? Do I like it? Do I not? I don't know. I just shifted it out 90 degrees to move it and put the bike in to then shift it into the gap. And I thought, I'll leave it there and see how it works for a couple of days and see if I like it. So all the cable management, it's an absolute mess at the moment. I've got loads of work to do. The other problem I'm having in this room that I didn't realise I'd have is the radiator that runs nearly the full length of this wall. It's a massive radiator for the size of room that's in here. The thermostat doesn't work on it. It's on, when the heating's on, it is on whether you turn it on or off, which is going to be an interesting thing to have on when racing in the winter, but we'll see how that goes. And tonight it's a chance to test that setup. It's a flat race tonight, 3 laps of the Richmond, fan flats. So a chance to test the new setup. I don't think anything's going to change really. We'll find out. Hopefully I've got it right and it's comfortable to ride with, but yeah, I'll see you on the bike. We're in Richmond then for 3 laps of the fan flats. This is the one where you have that really long lead in before even starting the first lap. And you can see I've had a shocker off the line. And this will teach me for not testing the new setup before joining this race, because I noticed quite quickly that I didn't have any resistance on my trainer. I had to drop it down to the hardest possible gear and I'd lost the group by this point, and putting out what I can to try and catch them without a lot of resistance behind me, thinking, okay, I spent a bit here. And you can see my camera's just not working in the bottom left-hand corner. And yeah, it's all started really, really well, obviously. And there's another thing happening at this moment where I'm realising that I've pushed the bike in too far. I put the bike in the new position with a couple of millimetres clearance between the top of the bookshelf and the brakes on my bike. But I realised I didn't take into account my added weight and the movement of the bike. And at this point, I've stopped now because I need to correct that. My bike was bouncing up and down onto the bookshelf and wobbling the screen. And I thought, do I carry on with this? Do I not? Do I stop to correct it? There's no way I could have carried on. I probably would have knocked the screen off. So I had to jump off and move the trainer backwards. So by now I'm nearly 20 seconds behind the group, going really well, and the camera still not working. So great start to the race. I knew that at this point there's no hope that I'm going to catch up with the D group that have gone up the road, but I'm thinking, can I stay with the C's when they come through? It's a flat-ish race. Maybe I've got a chance to put out some power and stay with the C's. So I thought, I'm not going to go crazy fast, but I don't want to go too slow. So I'm just going to stick at a relatively steady pace and see what I do when those guys come through. Just coming up to the 3 kilometre marks, just under 6.5 minutes in. That gap now to the D's in front of me is 1 minute 20 nearly. And the gap behind me to the C's has dropped to about 24 seconds, I can see. I can see I've got my camera working again. It looks a bit weird, me facing in the wrong direction, so I'll fix that for the next one. But yeah, I'm just my goal is to try and remain steady to the point that the C's come past me, and then try and keep up with them. I also have footage from Christopher Waring in the Bs. The B group got a 1 minute 18 second deficit to make up on the C group in front. By the looks of it, we've got Chris Waring, Noel Slevin, C Moore, Jonesy, C Swan, Chris Jupp in there that I can see. So it will be interesting to see how quickly they bring that gap down and join the rest of the group. And it didn't take long for the C Cat to catch me, just 2 seconds behind. They've cut that down within a minute and a half. And I'm just not even at the start banner of the race yet for the first lap. But as the guys come through, C Finlayson, L Warrior, P Morris, J Robinson, MK, I'm putting out a bit more power. As I've spoken about before, I'm not putting out a full blast of power. I'm just trying to give myself enough power to get back into that draft without shooting out the front. So I've gradually increased it, and now it's all about holding on to these guys for as long as I possibly can. I just about get back into the draft. You see the close the gap thing comes down. Kind of know that if I put a little bit out, I can coast up slightly behind them, a little bit of red zone effort. See how long I can sit in with them. Over with the B Cat, they're closing that gap. It's down to 1 minute and 8 seconds. I wonder at which point the crossover will come. 6.8 kilometers in, and I'm doing all right. I'm sticking in with the group. I say I'm doing all right. You can see how spiky my power graph is, and it is just me doing everything I can to stay in with this group, especially as we hit this slow 2%er. I know that this is where I'm going to have to push hard to try and stay in with the group and put out a bit of power. I put out a pretty consistent sort of red zone effort here just to hang on. You can see they're slightly moving away. I have to up it a little bit just to try and catch on the top. What I want to do is make sure I can just hang in to the top of that draft when we get to the top, and back onto the actual flat. I know this is fluctuating a little bit here. I just want to be able to then settle it back into the draft again. Doing what I can. I've backed off a little bit. Then the power goes down again, knowing that I might lose the back. Oh, that's all that's going through my mind right now. Do not lose that group. Do not lose that group. I've got no chance of catching the other Ds, if I'm not in with this group. So do not lose the draft. Gap down to the guys behind us is down to under a minute now, but it's coming down relatively slowly. I can't see what the gap to the Ds is. Let's go back to me. What's the gap to the Ds? It's about a minute. So a minute gap between most of the groups here. So, but we're not even halfway through the race yet, so it can change a lot at this point. Just coming around now to start the second lap. I've had to put out a couple of bigger efforts here to coast up behind the group. I nearly lost them. And the time gap to the guys behind us is now down to 30 seconds. I'm struggling a little bit at this point, and I'm realising that I can't go at this level for a whole lot longer. But it is just that, can I stay with these guys until we catch the Ds? But the gap to the Ds is still up at 50 seconds. So I'm thinking, that's quite a long time to still hang on. Can I do it? I don't know. 9.8 kilometers to go. Over the halfway mark. What is the chances of hanging on? And that gap to the guys down just while I've been recording this bit has come down to 26 seconds. They are closing fast behind us. Halfway around lap 2 then, on that little incline again, you can see my graph has gone so spiky now. I'm just putting out what I can as a blast and having to recover. I have managed to keep up this hill pretty consistent. I knew I had to save a little bit to try and put a consistent effort out on this hill, as I've tried to do, but that gap now is down to a second to the Bs behind, and I'm panicking at this point. I'm thinking, if those guys come through at a bit of a pace and any of the C-Cat up their watts and up their pace, I'm going to really struggle, and here they come through us. I put out a bit of a burst as much as I can. Look at my face. What a lovely face. And I just try to coast up behind them, but I pretty much know that I'm spent at this point. Look how quickly that group pulls away from me. Just the combination of me being a D-Cat rider and that very, very slight incline, and how they just disappeared so quickly. I know I dropped the power, but look, they're already up the road by nearly 5 seconds. That's absolutely crazy. But that at that point, unfortunately, is pretty much my race over. 6.5 kilometers left to go. I've got John just behind me, who's just riding for his recovery, and Jay Mallet a minute behind. Let's watch this blob for a couple of minutes, because this group really does kind of come together as a massive group to try, and they've got a 24-second gap to make up on the D's now, working together just to close it down as quick as they can before they make the turn back for the third and final lap. Watching the D's come round to start their final lap, 25 minutes into the race nearly. Seagroves, M. Pearce, aka Crocs, O'Hanel, B. Jenkinson, Barney. I think I've caught everybody in there. A slightly smaller D-Cat group, and I think a few of them have stepped up into the C's as well, but they've still got a 10-second lead. I think that's going to come down quite quickly given the size of the B's and the C's behind, as they're on the chase. They're also, you could see them just in the distance up there. So at the 4 kilometre left to go mark, they've caught the D's out the front. I'm wondering whether they'll be able to, I mean, there's so many riders here trying to work out who is going to try and keep up, who can and who can't. It's going to be quite difficult as they've kind of flown through the front of those D's. You can see, I can't see G. Groves trying to keep in. It's moving around too quickly really to work out who's staying on where, but you can see the size of this group is massive. Is anybody going to try and break the group, move off the front? I don't know. Let's just go back. I've got me covering it as well. Can I see a slightly better view? There's M. Pearce, unfortunately fallen slightly off the back, aka Crocs may have just lost the back as well, with a second time gap to that group out the front, but can't really tell anything from that angle. And here it just looks like everyone's still together. I'll keep an eye and see if anyone makes a break at any point. Just hitting that little rampy bit and wondering whether anyone's going to give it a go from this point. Any big numbers in there yet? C. Swan was up at 5 watts per kilo for a second. C. Moore's gone off the front, 5.56 watts per kilo. Is this going to break the group in any way to spread them out? Noel's gone as well. There's a couple of the guys at the front who are pushing along to keep up. C. Waring, C. Jupp up at 4.6 watts per kilo. This might knock a couple of them off the front of the back of the group. Not that I can really see who will fall off the back here. It's starting to spread out, as you can see. Watching P. Morris. A little bit of a split in the group. You can see the dots in the top right hand corner, and this might lose a couple off the back. I'm not sure we're going to be able to tell who as we go further up the road. We've got someone off the front slightly further. Seymour still up the road a little bit. C. Waring, P. Zizou, Noel Slevin, C. Jupp, Jonesy and D. Stark all within that group trying to chase down at the moment. I wonder if anyone else will try and make that jump over in the getaway. This will probably drop a few off the back, I would think, towards the end of the race. Into the final kilometre, Noel has pushed off the front slightly. It's going to break the group, I think, a bit. Chris Jupp's trying to catch him behind to see Swan and a few of the others. We can see the finishing line, 800 metres to go. Jonesy's in there as well. See Jupp, see Swan trying to make a break. You can see them putting down a bit of a burst now to catch the guys in the front. This will definitely make the group spread out a little bit behind. C. Waring up at nearly 6 watts per kilo now, trying to keep in that group as well. Jonesy's in there. P. Zizou not far behind. O'Hanel as well. P. Morris and A. Pimer a second back as it's starting to really split the group now. We got C. Swan out the front. D. Stark just dropping back there. Chris Jupp with 5 watts per kilo up there as well. This C. Waring's taking the front now. 6.5 watts per kilo. Let's just jump over to my view of this. We can see it from above. You can see there, Chris is there, up at 9 watts per kilo. Oh, he stepped it back slightly in behind Jonesy. I think it's going to be really close between these guys. And Chris puts out a huge effort. Massive effort. Jonesy trying to match. Can he catch Chris Waring? They are going to the line, and Chris wins it. Jonesy second, and Chris Waring in third. Awesome sprint into the line. There was a little bit of tactical there. I think Chris Jupp looked like he was going to go and then held back slightly, tucked in behind Jonesy. And I must admit, I thought Chris maybe had sort of potentially given up on it, but then whacked out a massive orange numbers and caught just on the line. Huge congratulations, Chris. Well timed sprint there at the end to take the win. And here's me slowly plodding round with 1.5 kilometers left to go. I've got that gap that was behind me. I'm not intentionally racing them at all, but it's down to about a minute. And I think they suggested that I jump on as they came through, but I just they were going quite quickly, and I wanted to jump ahead and watch the rest of the other guys over the line. But I tried to do that, and they'd already finished. So yeah, that was successful. But that, yeah, just got to turn the end and finish, and that's the race over for me as well. So yeah, let's have a look at the results. Here's the results then. I love it when the races are this close. Chris just beating Jonesy to the line with Chris Waring just behind. They had a few seconds lead in the end over Noel, D Stark, C Swan, a couple of seconds behind. A Pimer, P Morris, P Zizu. I mean, you could pretty much throw a blanket over this. O'Hano in 10th, C Moore, El Warrior 12th, C Groves, Barney in 14th, J Robinson 15th, MK in 16th, 32.41. C Finlayson 32.45, a few seconds behind in 17th. B Jenkinson 18th, M Blundell 19th. Still really close finishing between these guys. AKA Crocs 20, M Pierce, who we saw just drop off the back, those two, from that group when the Bs caught the Cs. J Mallet, John, and then myself. So yeah, not a great race from my perspective. I think I probably could have done a bit better had I not had the technical issues at the start, and I could have stayed in and around the D group. But I guess we'll never know. But it was great to be able to watch the racing for the other guys at the front. So yeah, disappointing but good fun at the same time. Well, that was quite frustrating. I will be keeping the bike move backwards going forward. I'm annoyed with myself for not just getting on and doing a couple of kilometres before doing a race. That would have been the most sensible thing to do, but I didn't. So yeah, and that's my own fault for always being in a rush to get on the bike before the race starts, because I didn't know I had an issue until literally we were out of the gates. The other problem I had is I had no trainer resistance at all. It was the same resistance all the way through. So I got to play with the connections, because I think it might have switched over between ANT and Bluetooth, and I had the issues 6-9 months ago where I was getting funny leveled off power graphs and stuff. So something's gone a bit weird with the connections there. So a bit of work to do on Zwift. Just going to go off on a tangent a little bit. It is Friday night now, or late afternoon, and I've always had a question. What would I do if the house alarm went off in the middle of the night? I found out at 5 o'clock this morning, and it resulted in me getting out of bed quicker than I've ever got out of bed before in my life, shouting a lot, and falling down the stairs. Thankfully, I don't know what set the alarm off, but there was no one in the house. But falling down the stairs, I have hurt under my arms, I've pulled my neck on this side, and my knee doesn't feel great. We've got stairs that sort of go down halfway and turn and do a 180 and come back down. So I kind of fell down the second set. I don't know, it might even hurt more tomorrow. It normally hurts more the next day, but hopefully that won't affect me riding the Trundle tomorrow morning. But I guess we'll see. I look back on it and kind of laugh now. I guess it's not necessarily a laughing matter, but fingers crossed that's not an ongoing issue or anything we have to worry about. I just want to also talk about people sending in videos for rides. I love getting everybody's videos in and trying to include them on race vlogs and stuff as much as I possibly can. And I will definitely try and include everybody I get. Apologies, Noel, I missed that video on the last race. I'm so sorry. But I would, on the World Tour races, I will definitely try and include everybody. On the Thursday races, if I'm doing a video, I try and the editing for multiple riders and multiple videos takes quite a bit longer. I really enjoy doing it, but sometimes it's a little bit more difficult on a Thursday to include them. But do send the videos in if you want me to try and include them, and I will. I just can't promise that I will get them in, depending on schedules for turning around the videos and getting them uploaded to YouTube. Not the best week in terms of cycling either. Tuesday night was the England game, so I didn't jump on to do the Trundle, but I did jump on during the day and ticked off the last route I needed to do. I think it was stage 3 of the Tour of Mercury. It was the flat land loop. It was the last one of the, was it 6 or 5? Last one of the routes that I needed to do, and I can't remember the last time I actually finished a full tour that Zwift did, so I was really pleased to jump on. I did that on Tuesday lunchtime. It took me just over an hour, but good to get a ride in as a substitute for the Trundle. Then obviously the race on Thursday. Tomorrow I will be doing the Saturday morning banded group ride, and then Sunday. Sunday is the next race in the World Tour, and it's the first TT race we're doing. It's in Yorkshire. That's at 8 o'clock in the evening, so you might just, that's tonight. When this video comes out on Sunday, that is tonight at 8 o'clock. Sign up information is in the description below if you want to come along to it, and all of the other rides as well. Hopefully I will make it. I know the England game is also on Sunday night, and we have a couple of plans during the day, so everything's a bit up in the air, but I will do my best to get there because I want to keep getting some points. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, I've rabbited on quite a lot. I can't think of anything else to talk about, which is strange for me. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Thank you to all of the channel members coming up the screen right now. Your support is incredible. And I am still trying to step up, depending on how I feel, on some extra racing riding next week. I've been trying to just keep some steady level rides in, and that ride that I did on Tuesday was just a steady sort of middle blue zone effort, zone 2. Just wanted to again turn the legs over and try and keep working on that consistent speed, consistent output. So yeah, I think I'm just going to try and put those in throughout the week. But yeah, I've rabbited on again, haven't I? But yeah, that is the end of the video. If you had enjoyed it, do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.